Gracias, Jean-Jacques, and buenos dias. Good morning. I'm Paul. I'm the chair of the NRO Executive Council. I'm also the head of APNIC, the IP Address Registry for the Asia Pacific. And you might know that the NRO coordinates the activities of the 5 RARs, one of those activities being to serve as the ASO in ICANN. 20 years ago, just 3 of today's RARs were around. Just 3 have been around for more than 20 years. Our system was established through the IETF back in the early 1990s. So it predates ICANN by a good 7 or 8 years. It doesn't seem so long these days. We have a handful of people, as ICANN did, to thank for the invention of the RAR system, including some people we know. Elise Gehrig, the recently retired president of the PTI, was the one who wrote RFC 1366 in October 92, and that established the regional approach to IP address management. Also, the first heads of the 3 early RARs include Daniel Karenberg for IPNCC, Kim Hubbard for ARAN, and David Conrad for APNIC, who is still with us here in the ICANN community today. But I guess most importantly right here and now today is to acknowledge John Postel, who fully supported the establishment of the RARs from the start right up to his untimely, shocking death in '98. He worked closely with those early RAR founders, and I had the pleasure to meet him just once in '98 during an IETF in Chicago. Of course, as we heard, ICANN was just being conceived at that time, and a set of bylaws and initial board members, which John himself, I think, led in creating and selecting. So it was a huge shock to many people to lose him so suddenly. But we have to recognise him as a pioneer whose legacy persists right here all around us. What he created was a key part of what we now accept as the governance framework of the internet. That became the multi-stakeholder model, which was later discovered, not invented, by the WSIS, the WSIS, as the key to the internet's success. And it's the ICANN model that graduated from an experiment when the stewardship of the IANA functions was cut loose finally by the US government just a couple of years ago. So ICANN's evolution continues, and as part of that evolution, so does that of the ASO. So you might know that an ASO review was conducted and released just a year ago. The internet number communities are still processing the results, but we're converging on a set of improvements, and recently the RAR CEOs provided some input to that process with some common points of agreement. So just briefly, firstly, the RAR communities do share a view that our relationship with ICANN is important and should continue. That's fundamental. But also that it can be simplified with a sharper focus on matters of mutual interest. Second, that the ASO has turned out to be quite different than other SOs in the ICANN framework, and that we don't need to take all of the engagements and work items that are available to us as an SO. Third, there's a confusion, long-term confusion in the engagement with ICANN under the dual banners of the NRO and the ASO. You may share that with me, that confusion, but that needs to be addressed by consolidating functions under one of those identities. And lastly, we do continue to support ICANN as the means to carry out a set of critical functions, the best means to do that, while we also support ongoing evolution. Personally, having heard the recent work by ICANN on strategic trends, I think we have no choice but to collaborate, work together with ICANN, very much as Shireen said, within our own clear remits. So the process of consultations on the ASO is not over, but we felt that these points sort of encapsulate the progress that has been made so far, and probably worth reiterating here in this forum. Finally, I wanted to mention another recent piece of work that we've also heard about today, and that's a great success of the ICANN community, which is the DNSSEC KSK rollover. So a lot has been said, and congratulations due to all involved. But I wanted to recap on some of the activities of the RARs as I think a great example of the way we can work together with ICANN and have done very successfully to support a process in this case that's really at the heart of the Internet's health and well-being, and that's the DNSSEC. The RARs collectively serve a community of some 100,000 in round figures, network and infrastructure operators around the world. These are the people who use IP address blocks registered directly with the RARs and who actually collectively build and run the entire internet infrastructure. So reaching out to all those operators was very important. It was a big task and one which the RARs were happy to contribute to. So we were involved with making presentations to operator meetings around the world. We were publishing many different blog posts, media items, news, web, social media updates, sharing email updates across RAR mailing lists and directly with our communities, doing all this in some cases in languages other than English, and also contributing measurements and data collection to ICANN's own processes. So that rollover was completed within ICANN's stated tolerance limits with no major issues reported, and that was done very significantly through global cooperation between ICANN and many others in the community, and I think it just serves to illustrate the effectiveness of the global technical coordination which has been at the heart of internet governance for a very long time now. So at this 20-year mark, as we gather here in what I think Shireen referred to basically as John's house, I'd like to say that the internet is not a thing of the past. The legacy of the pioneers is critical, and certain fundamentals must be preserved, but we all have to work together to take it forward, and there's plenty of room, space and time for us to do that. So I think we can all be proud of what we've achieved as we move ahead into the next 20 years. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Thanks.